The Citadel Code, the philosophy of the medieval knight and noble. Chapter 10, the enduring legacy of knightly philosophy. Across centuries, the knight and noble's code outlived kingdoms and sieges. It taught that martial elites could be tamed by virtue, that strength rightly ordered served the common good, and that faith, honor, and duty created lasting stability. Though armor changed and castles crumbled, the philosophy remained a model of disciplined manhood in service to God and realm. In every age, men of arms who embraced these timeless ideals, honor, loyalty, courage, piety, protection, and justice, became pillars against disorder. The citadel may stand in ruin, but the code it sheltered endures as long as men remember that true power bows to higher purpose. The legacy of chivalric philosophy began even before the medieval period fully waned. By the late 14th and 15th centuries, as plate armor reached its technical peak and gunpowder weapons started to reshape warfare, the practical role of the mounted knight diminished. Yet the ideals did not fade. Instead, they found new life in literature and courtly culture. Arthurian romances, chansons de geste, and tales of Charlemagne's paladins spread across Europe, immortalizing the knight as a figure of courage, loyalty, and piety. These stories were not mere entertainment. They served as moral instruction for young nobles. In the great halls that replaced crumbling citadels, lords and ladies listened to recitations that reinforced the code. A true knight fought for justice, protected the innocent, and remained faithful, even unto death. One of the most powerful embodiments of this living legacy was William Marshal, often hailed as the greatest knight that ever lived. Born in the mid-12th century to a minor noble family, Marshal rose through tournament prowess, loyal service to 5 English kings, and unwavering adherence to his oaths. He fought in the Crusades, became a Templar on his deathbed, and served as regent of England, helping stabilize the realm after the death of King John. His life demonstrated that the chivalric virtues were not abstract theory. Loyalty kept him steadfast through shifting alliances. Courage carried him through hundreds of tournaments and battlefield victories. Honor prevented him from breaking faith, even when kings proved unworthy. Marshal's story, preserved in his biography, became a model for later generations. Chroniclers praised him as the flower of chivalry, showing that a man could rise from humble beginnings to shape history by living the code. As the Renaissance dawned, chivalric philosophy influenced the ideal of the gentleman. In England and across Europe, the concept of nobility evolved, but retained core knightly elements. Courtesy, honor, and service to the crown echoed the old feudal loyalties. Courtly manners, once part of the refinement of the knight toward ladies, became markers of civilized conduct. Even as feudal levies gave way to professional armies, military leaders invoked chivalric ideals to maintain discipline and morale. The code helped restrain excesses in an age when warfare could still descend into brutality. Treaties and customs regarding the treatment of prisoners and non-combatants carried faint echoes of the knight's duty to show mercy where justice allowed. The Enlightenment and industrial eras seemed to distance society from medieval ways, yet the philosophy persisted in subtler forms. Military academies and officer corps in European armies continued to emphasize honor, courage, and duty. Codes of conduct for soldiers drew indirectly from the chivalric tradition of the warrior who fights with restraint and purpose rather than savagery. In Britain, the concept of the gentleman officer, who led by example, protected the weak, and upheld regimental honor, owed much to the knightly model. Across the Atlantic, early American military traditions similarly valued personal integrity and courage in defense of higher principles. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, a romantic revival of chivalry swept through literature and culture. Victorian writers and artists idealized the medieval knight as a symbol of moral strength in an increasingly industrialized world. Novels, poetry, and paintings portrayed knights as defenders of virtue against modern ills. While some aspects became sentimentalized, the core message endured. True manhood involves self-mastery, protection of the vulnerable, and service to something greater than oneself. Organizations such as fraternal orders and youth groups drew inspiration from knightly ideals to instill discipline and character in young men. Even in the brutal wars of the 20th century, echoes of the code appeared. Soldiers spoke of honor, loyalty to comrades, and courage under fire. Military ethics, including rules for the humane treatment of prisoners and civilians, trace conceptual roots to the medieval effort to restrain knightly violence through virtue. Modern law of armed conflict, with its principles of distinction, proportionality, and necessity, carries forward the spirit, if not the letter, of chivalric restraint. The idea that the strong must adhere to higher standards when wielding power remains a direct descendant of the knight's philosophy. Today, the Citadel Code continues to offer timeless wisdom. In an age of rapid technological change and shifting social structures, the virtues of honor, loyalty, courage, piety, protection, and justice provide a moral anchor. Honor demands integrity when no one is watching. Loyalty calls for steadfastness to worthy causes and people. Courage requires facing difficulties with resolve, whether on the battlefield, in the workplace, or in personal trials. Piety, understood broadly as reverence for something greater than self, counters selfishness. The duty to protect the weak reminds those with power or influence of their responsibility to the vulnerable. Justice insists that strength serve righteousness rather than convenience. The philosophy teaches that disciplined manhood is not about domination, but about ordered service. It shows that martial or physical strength finds its highest expression when guided by moral purpose. Men who embrace these ideals, whether soldiers, leaders, fathers, or ordinary citizens, become stabilizing forces in their communities. They model the truth that real power bows to higher purpose. Faith in God or transcendent principles, duty to family and society, and commitment to justice. The ruined citadels of Europe stand as silent witnesses. Their stones, weathered by time, no longer house armored knights. Yet the code they once sheltered lives on in stories, traditions, and the quiet choices of individuals who choose virtue over expediency. From William Marshall's battlefield triumphs and political service to the romantic tales that inspired centuries of readers, the knight and noble's philosophy demonstrates remarkable resilience. Its endurance proves a profound lesson. External forms, armor, castles, feudal oaths may pass away, but the inner discipline of character remains relevant. In every era, societies face threats from disorder, whether from external enemies or internal moral decay. The chivalric response was to tame the strong through virtue, rather than weaken them through unchecked license. This approach created stability that outlasted many kingdoms. As long as men remember that courage without honor becomes brutality, loyalty without justice becomes tyranny, and strength without piety becomes arrogance, the Citadel Code will continue to guide. It calls each generation to examine whether their power serves a higher good. It challenges the capable to protect rather than exploit, to lead with integrity rather than self-interest, and to face adversity with faith and resolve. The knight and noble of old stood within stone walls, sword at side, banner overhead, embodying a philosophy that transformed potential chaos into ordered strength. That same spirit can inspire today. The citadel may lie in ruins, but the code endures in the heart of any man who chooses to live by honor, loyalty, courage, piety, protection, and justice. True power, the philosophy reminds us, is not the ability to break others, but the strength to uphold what is right, even when it costs dearly. In this way, the medieval knight and noble's legacy remains a beacon for disciplined manhood and moral order across the ages.